Kim here with Little Biz Resources. And in this video, which has to be the hardest video I've ever made, I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up automation for your e-commerce marketing. Now, the idea behind this is that you post a product on your website, so usually Shopify or WordPress. There are some other platforms you can do this with as well. Those are the two I'm most familiar with. But once you post a product on there, then it automatically updates your social media sites, your blogs, your bookmarking sites. Now, I mentioned that this is the hardest video I've ever done, and that's because this is such a simple concept. I have a tough time explaining it. As soon as I start talking, people go, that sounds complicated. It really isn't. I promise this is not complicated. This is probably the easiest marketing automation I've ever done. Yes, it does require software because that's how it automates. There are some non software options as well, which we'll talk about when we get to those. To get you started, I put together a document that shows you the properties that we're going to automate to. I'm going to start with if you have a WordPress site or an Shopify site, how you can find your feed, which is just the update from your website. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in the different properties from there. And I'm going to cover each one a little bit. And in this first video, all that we're going to do is set up these properties. Okay. And I'm just going to introduce you to them. Then you're going to do those on your own. Then in the second video to follow this, we're going to set up the automation so that it will automatically update once you post. Let's take a look at the worksheet that I put together for you. All right. I turned my camera off so you can focus on the screen instead. Now, this worksheet, if you will, is basically just a list. Now, you can make your own, or if you want a copy of this, you can sign up to my email list in the description, and I will email you a copy of this so you can fill it in and use it as you like. The way this is set up is very simple. This is just to document everything so you know you have what you need. This is a basic version. There is a more advanced version to this, but let's just start with the basic version. So this is my e-commerce website is, and you would type this in here. So I'm going to be doing one that's called Celtic Ornaments. So I'm going to put in celticornaments.com. And the platform is I use WordPress. So if you use WordPress, put WordPress there. If you use Shopify, put Shopify there. Or if you have a different platform, you can put that there. Now, the reason why is because that is going to help us determine what the feed URL is. Now, here are some formulas for WordPress, Shopify, and Etsy for any of you who have an Etsy shop. So for WordPress or WooCommerce, in our case for e-commerce, you want to do your store name dot whatever the end is slash feed. So if my website is celticornaments.com, I would put celticornaments.com slash feed. Now Shopify is your store name dot end slash collection slash all dot atom. Now if I want to do a by collection, I would put celticornaments.com slash collection slash cut files. That's for the collection name. Now Etsy. This is trickier for automation, and this is why I tend not to focus on Etsy for e-commerce automation immediately because it's a little bit more advanced. But the problem with Etsy is that every time somebody makes a purchase, it triggers the feed. So if you have a quantity of 5 of something and somebody purchases 3 of them in a row, it triggers the feed for each one of those purchases. So it now updates it 3 more times, I think, 3 more times. And so you would have 3 of the exact same item in a row, right? And it's kind of frustrating for automation because of that. And there are some ways around that that are really complex, but there's a simple way that we can do something with that. So we'll explore that in video 2. Now, the RSS feed I'm going to show you is different from what Etsy says to do, or at least the instructions that I found, which may be old instructions, but that's what I found on their website was to do something completely different. And they add a bunch of other stuff here. This works. I've tested this in an RSS feed reader and this works. So you want to do https:// which by the way, some of these, depending on what you're using, will probably require that. And we'll dive into that more in the next video. But for now, just make sure you get this part because that's all you really need. So we're going to see this one is https://www.etsy.com/shop/shop name/RSS. So this is an RSS feed. Here's if my shop name is Celtic Ornaments, so it would be https://www.etsy.com/shop/Celtic Ornaments/RSS. Woo, mouthful, I know. But now I have the RSS, or in the Shopify case, ATOM feed. So my feed formula for whatever my particular site is. So if we go back over to the this here, we can say now my e-commerce website is celticornaments.com. The platform is WordPress with WooCommerce. My feed URL is celticornaments.com/feed. Now you can see we have additional properties here. If you already have a property, it is very important to consider using it. And that's because some of these are going to allow automation because you have a seasoned or a page that's been around for a while, and some are not. So it could work, but it might not work if you have a brand new profile or if you have a brand new page or whatever it is. So we're going to go through each one of these quick and show you different elements of each one to consider. The first one on the list is Facebook. Now, Facebook is managed primarily through your personal account. If you don't have a page, you need to create a page by logging into Facebook, going up here to the menu, and selecting page. Then you complete the required information and you've got a page. If you already have a page, for now, you just need to copy it over to that worksheet. There's one automation method that we're going to explore, though there are two that Facebook offers. So Facebook offers the shop feature, where if you have physical items, you can connect your catalog to Meta and have a shop section. This is a great feature for marketing later on, but it is an advanced method, mostly because the connection is a little bit sketchy. It's provided by Facebook, and there's not a whole lot of support for any technical issues. So that's more advanced, and we're not going to cover that one. Instead, what we'll do in video 2 is we'll talk about how we can automate posts of each of your products to your Facebook page, where you can then share them. You can like them as yourself. You can have people comment on them, etc. Pinterest is another one. And this is my Pinterest URL, the Easton Twins. And you can see in here that I get a lot of views. I have some good amount of followers, and it's a pretty active account. This is a business account. If you have a Pinterest personal account that is super active, you may just want to shift it to a business account. If you do not have a business account or you do not have a Pinterest account at all, when you create it, you want to create it as a business account. That way you can claim your website on Pinterest. And so if you go into the settings, you can go into claimed accounts. You can see I have one here. It's chattyreview.com. When Easton Twins is built, that will be on here. I will also put celticornaments.com on here. You can have multiple websites. If you have Shopify, you can install it with the app. If you have WordPress, you can use the WordPress plugin to connect. And I actually recommend that. If you're interested in how to connect on Pinterest, Pinterest has extensive documentation to help you with that. I recommend following the instructions they provide because this can change over time. If you have problems, hop into the Facebook group and ask questions. Pinterest has two different methods for automation. One is when you connect your website, you can add in RSS feeds for different collections. So, for example, let's say that if I have WordPress and I have t-shirts, I can take t-shirts and put them into a t-shirt board directly for my site, right? So I can just go ahead and say, yes, I'm going to put all of my particular products from that category into a board, have that completely automated. Now, the other thing that you can do, which you'll see here, this is one of my other accounts. And one of the things that you can do is you can see this check mark right here. That means that I'm a verified merchant. And what verified merchants do is that they can connect their e-commerce sites and have shoppable pins automatically created in Pinterest. Now, a couple of months ago, those showed up in your main account. Now they don't. They're just in Pinterest La La Land, and they are connected. So if somebody searches for them, we can say merchlet t-shirt and see if something shows up. It may or may not. And this is the biggest problem with this, is that if people want to see your pins and they're not on your particular account, they may not find them. So to avoid this, which I haven't set this up yet on this page, is that we're going to connect the RSS feeds in addition to the verified merchant. Now, verified merchant is very easy to do. You need to claim your website and, of course, create the connection. Just follow the instructions from Pinterest. If you have problems, hop into the Facebook group and ask questions. I did a separate video on this for the last step, which I will link to in the description. if you are interested in the Pinterest Merchant Verification Program. Now, Instagram, here's another one. Of course, these are all the URLs I'm grabbing and putting them into the worksheet as I have either built them or I have them. And that way I know that I have them and they're complete. Instagram allows automation as well. You can also have a shop on Instagram. It is the biggest pain to do. But again, we're just setting up the accounts. So if you have an Instagram account, get the instagram.com/merchant. This one's Merchant Marketplace, but whatever yours is, and put it into your sheet. So now we're going to look at, I'm just going to talk about some of these for now. And that's because these aren't complicated. You can run through them very easily and you understand the basic concept of them. Twitter. Twitter does not allow automation outside of a paid tool. In order to automate to Twitter, they require payment. They want everybody to pay to access their platform, which is now X, by the way. So it's Twitter, and I put /X, but it's really X. And this particular platform, since it requires payment to access it, in order to automate, you have to use a paid tool. Now, when I say paid tool, there is one that's $5 a month and can do all of these. Okay, so do not worry about the expense. If you're like, hey, expense is a problem, we can minimize it down to $5 a month, or we can eliminate the ones that require a paid tool and you can just focus on the ones that have it built in. Now, blogging platforms, these are all free, and I would recommend only using these for less than 48 products per day on average. And that's because if you are listing 100 or 200 products per day and you don't have these accounts already, built up, they're going to shut you down. And if you're using the free versions, if you're paying for like your own WordPress and your own hosting, you can do whatever you want. But for here, we're going to look at the free accounts on Tumblr, WordPress, and Blogger. There are more blogging platforms. Okay. And you'll notice that I don't have TikTok on here or YouTube because those social media platforms are video based and you initiate with those. And so you would basically not automate to them, you'd automate from them. But we're not covering that. So we're just going to focus on the platforms that we're going to automate to, right? So you can use these blogging platforms. If you have other blogging platforms that you use, and many of them are paid, and that's why I've left them off, then you can use those as well, right? And I'll show you in the next video how to figure out what else you can automate to. Now, bookmarking sites. Bookmarking sites, if you think of Pinterest, bookmarking sites are the same type of thing, but they're just not as social, right? They're not as pretty and as, you do a pin on Pinterest and so you get to feature whatever you want. Bookmarking sites literally just the URL and a little blurb. So most of them are meant to be personal, but you can make them public. These are really good for e-commerce. Okay. Even though these aren't social media, they're out in the World Wide Web. So you still want to be able to post to them. And it's a pain to do manually. So I only recommend doing it if you're going to automate. Now, Digo, which is a bookmarking site, they have a max of 500 bookmarks on the free version. That should be plenty to get started. Unless you're doing hundreds per day, this is a really good option to get started. And even still, just use the 500. Then you've got 500 links going back to your site from Digo. I have seen people come to my Etsy shop, come to my WordPress site. I have seen them come from Digo there. So it shows up somewhere and people do come through it. Evernote. Evernote is another one. They give you 60 megabytes of monthly, data on the free version. That should be plenty to get started. Then you have other bookmarking sites. Many of them are paid. I've left those off, right? And these are, again, because they're a little bit more advanced, I left them off. If you do all of these that I'm talking about just so far up to here, and you don't even have to do Twitter for that matter, Twitter right here, then if you just do all these other ones, you will be leaps and bounds ahead of other e-commerce people. So if you were selling Celtic ornaments and I'm selling Celtic ornaments and I do none of this and you do all of that up till here even, then you're going to be ahead of me in your visibility and everything else, right? So this is where a lot of people run into problems where they go, oh, I have to do all of these things. Oh, and I have to do every single one of them. You don't. The more you do, the more you have the potential of getting found. The less you do, the less places you're in, right? So you have to consider that large companies do this. Large companies do this. And they do this because they want to be everywhere. They want to make sure that when somebody does a search or somebody is on a platform and they are looking for something that's related to what they have, they get found. And the only way to do that is to post and to be on these platforms. And it's impossible to do without a team unless you use automation. So this is one of the best benefits that I've seen of being everywhere is that you don't have to have a team. You just get on, you post your product, and then it goes out to all these platforms. Because in e-commerce, it's usually your images that sell the product. Still, even now, right? Etsy, they have video options for 10 seconds, but that is not what they feature. They feature the images because that is what people are looking for. They want a quick snapshot. Then you have some people who want additional details. Once they go to your site, that's where you optimize that. Okay. So understand that the more places you are, the more likely you are to get found. And that's the benefit of this automation. So if you have other bookmarking sites that you're a part of and you can automate, feel free. If not, and I'll show you again in the next one how you can find additional sites. Now, here's some optional properties. And the reason why I put them as optional is because they're a little trickier for automation. Now, I use tools and I can automate to all of these, but LinkedIn in particular is a total pain because it requires authentication on a regular basis. And what that means is that they want you to log in through your software and re-trigger the connection, like give it permission again. And otherwise it disconnects. And it's like, it's so frustrating when you're like, you're just getting momentum somewhere, then you get an email saying your automation isn't working. It only tells you that once it triggers and something goes out and you're like, oh man, that didn't go out. Now I have to manually do it. And then LinkedIn is also more for business to business. So if your products are more for the consumer, they may or may not benefit being on here. And since LinkedIn is more of a business to business slash um, looking for a job type of site, it just really depends. You're going to have to decide whether your market is on there or not and if it's worth your time. If your profile is perfected so that you get hired for a job, you don't want to then start putting all your e-commerce products on it. Now for pages, I don't know what the benefit is to be honest. I have a page, I automate to it and almost nobody sees it. And I think that's purely because LinkedIn pages, like Facebook pages, require to be logged in and people haven't quite caught on to LinkedIn pages yet. So I'm sure there are plenty that do well, but I have not had any luck with LinkedIn pages. And that connection issue is a problem for me. Now, Google Business, Google My Business, Google Maps, whatever you want to call it, there's a business profile for physical locations. If you have a physical location or you have the capability to create a Google Business profile, I recommend it, right? If you offer anything local, then you should definitely be on there and you can automate that with one of the software programs that we're going to be covering in the next video. Pocket. Pocket is another bookmarking site. Now, the problem with Pocket is that it's mostly manual, right? You can automate bookmarks to it, but they're not public, they're private. In order to make them public, you have to manually go in there and make them public. So that's why I recommend these as optional properties. So now your homework is to get these all built that you want. If you are like, hey, I don't really know Tumblr, I don't want to use Tumblr, then don't, right? Skip it. You just need to do as many as you can. Not all of them are required. If you just want to do Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, those are the three best for e-commerce. So if you're like, hey, that's all I want to do, that's all you need to do then. But I recommend considering, adding on at least the bookmarking sites then. Now, I'll show you in the next video how we're going to go ahead and combine all of this to automate. So now that we have our properties, we're going to use a tool called IFTTT and another tool that I'll talk about because it needs a little bit more explanation in the next video. For now, just go through, create these properties, and we'll talk about strategy on these at another time, but we're just setting this up for automation. So just set them up, complete them, and you're good to go. All right, that wraps up part one of our two-part series on automating e-commerce marketing across various platforms. If you found this information valuable and want to make the most out of it, don't forget to click the link in the description below to opt in for the exclusive worksheet. And if you're looking to dive deeper into advanced methods, I'm super excited to announce I'll be releasing a comprehensive course soon. To stay updated on its release and get all the details, make sure you sign up through that link below. For any questions, feedback, or just to stay connected with a community of like-minded individuals, I'd love to invite you to our private Facebook group. It's a great space to discuss, share, and learn even more, though lots of people are very quiet in that group. But that gives you more opportunity, right? So stay tuned for part two, and thank you for being a part of this journey. Remember, success in e commerce marketing is just a few strategies away. See you in the next video.